Mercedes-Benz has unlimited money, elite engineering, and unmatched technological power. Yet, for the last 20 years they have desperately tried and completely failed to destroy a single 100-year-old British brand. If you look at social media, the Mercedes Maybach is the ultimate flex. Rappers, crypto-millionaires, and influencers will tell you it is the absolute peak of success. But if you step into the hidden, untouchable world of old money, the generational billionaires, the royal families, and the silent titans of industry, they don't just ignore the Maybach. They are psychologically disgusted by it. The Maybach is faster, packed with better technology, and is arguably more comfortable. So why does true, silent wealth completely refuse to be seen in one? Why does buying a Maybach instantly expose you to the elite as desperate new money? The answer has absolutely nothing to do with cars, and everything to do with a devastating psychological trap that Mercedes-Benz accidentally built for themselves. To understand the billionaire's mind, you first have to understand the fundamental law of luxury. Exclusivity cannot be mass-produced. And this is exactly where Mercedes-Benz falls into their own trap. Mercedes is, at its core, a volume corporation. Their ultimate goal is to sell millions of vehicles to millions of people. They sell the A-class hatchback to the college student. They sell the C-class to the middle manager who just got his first promotion. And then, sitting right in the middle of that exact same corporate ecosystem is the Maybach. Mercedes expects the ultra-elite to pay $300,000 for a car that shares the exact same showroom floor as a $40,000 sedan. To the general public, that doesn't matter. But to the generational billionaire, it is a let's look at the dark secret of the Maybach's DNA. The Maybach is not a unique, standalone creation. It is, by definition, a standard Mercedes S-Class that has been stretched, dipped in heavy chrome, and fitted with softer pillows in the back seat. When a billionaire sits in the back of a Maybach, they know they are essentially looking at the exact same digital screens, the same switches, and the same underlying skeleton as the Mercedes E-Class driven by their Uber driver. True wealth demands absolute isolation from the masses. When you share platform architecture with a taxi cab, you dilute the pedigree. You are no longer buying a masterpiece. You are simply buying the premium subscription to an everyday product. So, who actually buys the Maybach? The answer reveals a concept psychologists call status anxiety. The Maybach is aggressively loud. It features massive, imposing grilles, glowing badges, and two-tone paint jobs that scream for attention from 3 blocks away. It is designed specifically for people who suffer from the psychological need to prove their wealth. The newly rich, the influencers, the athletes, people who have just made their first million and are terrified that nobody will notice. They are buying the Maybach because they want you to look at them. They want the external validation. They need the world to know they didn't just buy a Mercedes, they bought the most expensive Mercedes. But what happens when you have had wealth for 5 generations? What happens when your family name is printed on hospitals and museums? You do not suffer from status anxiety. You do not need to shout. Your ultimate goal is not to be seen. Your ultimate goal is to become untouchable. And when that billionaire looks for a vehicle, they look at a brand that operates on a psychological frequency Mercedes. But how exactly does Rolls-Royce manipulate the elite mind to make the Maybach look like a cheap toy? The secret is hidden in a psychological weapon called the Royal Bloodline, and how they weaponize silence. Rolls-Royce operates on an entirely different psychological plane. They do not build cars. They forge rolling fortresses. When a billionaire buys a Rolls-Royce Phantom, it shares exactly 0% of its platform with any other vehicle on Earth. There is no entry-level Rolls-Royce for the middle class. They call it the architecture of luxury. It is a bespoke aluminum space frame dedicated exclusively to their elite clientele. True generational wealth, the old money titans, refuse to be associated with a brand that caters to the masses. When they step into a Phantom, they are stepping into a bloodline. They are buying a pedigree that has transported kings, queens, and emperors for over a century. You cannot manufacture that kind of heritage on a corporate assembly line in Stuttgart. But the greatest difference between the two lies in defensive psychology. The Maybach is designed as a stage. It is brightly lit, covered in screens, and built to make the passenger feel like a celebrity on display. Rolls-Royce, however, is designed as a vault. The engineers at Goodwood understand that the ultimate luxury for a billionaire is privacy. The Phantom's massive C-pillars in the rear are intentionally designed to completely swallow the passenger in darkness, hiding their face from paparazzi and the outside world. The doors open backward to act as a physical shield when the billionaire is stepping out. The Maybach screams, "Look at me." The Rolls-Royce whispers, "You cannot touch me." While Mercedes engineers spend millions trying to make the Maybach screens bigger and its ambient lighting brighter, Rolls-Royce spends millions on something money can rarely buy. A Rolls-Royce Phantom carries over 300 pounds of acoustic insulation. The tires have special foam built into them just to absorb the sound of the road. It is so terrifyingly quiet inside that during early testing, engineers actually had to add a slight hum to the cabin because test drivers were getting sensory deprivation. It is weaponized silence, a mobile panic room where the chaos of the world simply ceases to exist. The Maybach is a transaction. You walk in, you pay, you leave. But Rolls-Royce takes this psychological domination one step further. They don't just sell you a car. They force you to prove your worth through a process called the commission. And what happens when a billionaire walks into the Rolls-Royce private suite in Goodwood, England, exposes the final, brutal reason why Mercedes-Benz will never win this war. This brings us to the ultimate dividing line between mass luxury and true elitism. It is the concept of bespoke creation. If you have the money, you can walk into any Mercedes dealership on earth, point at a Maybach on the showroom floor, and drive it away that exact same afternoon. It is a transaction. Anyone with a good credit score can do it. You cannot do that with a Rolls-Royce Phantom. A true Rolls-Royce is not bought. It is commissioned, much like a super yacht or a piece of fine art. The billionaire flies to the Rolls-Royce headquarters in Goodwood. They sit down with the designers. They do not pick from a catalog of standard colors. They demand the paint to be color matched to their wife's favorite diamond. They request the wood trim to be sourced from a specific fallen tree on their... The Maybach is built by robots programmed for corporate efficiency. The Rolls-Royce is built by artisans. There is only one man in the entire world, Mark Court, who is allowed to paint the coach line down the side of a Rolls-Royce. He does it entirely by hand, using a special brush made from squirrel hair. There are no robots, no lasers, just pure, unadulterated human perfection. When the billionaire finally receives their vehicle, they know they are sitting inside a one-of-one masterpiece that literally cannot be replicated by anyone else on the planet. It is not just a car. It is a monument to their own personal power. Mercedes-Benz will continually try to win this war. They will add more digital screens, brighter ambient lighting, and more horsepower to the Maybach. They will continue to sell the illusion of status to the newly rich. But they will always inevitably lose the highest tier of the ultra-wealthy. Because at the end of the day, a corporation can manufacture a beautiful machine, but they cannot manufacture a bloodline. The Maybach proves you have a high credit limit. The Rolls-Royce proves you own the bank.